Hello, you lovely lot, and welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I'm Alex Whiteley, and we've got a really good episode for you guys today. This is all about business and babies. What happens when, someone who has dedicated her life to her business and making an empire of her own, who all of a sudden falls pregnant, and what happens to the mindset of someone who has thrived in the world of business, who's now got to be vulnerable and be a mother. It seems like a very simple thing when you say it, in a very simple context, but everybody's different. It's definitely a great conversation to have, and we have Alex McCarthy. Congratulations, Alex, by the way. It's fantastic news. And we also have Camilla Monk, who is a mother and who is also one of the most successful businesswomen in Shropshire as well. So she knows how it's done. So this is going to be a great podcast. I am just there to referee more than anything. I have a few great insights in this podcast, but I'm a bloke, right? And I feel like I accidentally fell into the whole mansplaining thing. I think that just happens. I don't know. Maybe it's something I'm just self-conscious of. You guys can be the judge of that. Have a listen to this podcast, whether you're into business, whether you're a mother, or whether you just enjoy eavesdropping in a great conversation. And it does feel like a good eavesdrop, this podcast. We are at Daily Brews for this one, who have been a great support for us. We've recorded there many times. I love the ambience there. I love the sound of the coffee grinder going off in the background. I love hearing the murmur of people's conversations and the clinking of the cups. I think Shrewsbury is such a coffee shop town that's an authentic sound to have in the background. So come, eavesdrop, sit at our table and take a listen to this conversation. It's fantastic. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Camilla. Thank you, Daily Brews. And I'll catch you guys at the end of this podcast. We'll round it up there. Brilliant. Cool. Let's go into it then. Hi guys, and welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I'm Alex Whiteley. Today we're coming to you from Daily Brews. Great at helping out people with media, business people. They've helped us out many times. I know Eyeside Media have great experiences working with Vitus and the guys at Daily Brews too. So thank you for letting us record here. Now today we're talking about something that I don't feel like I'm qualified to talk about, but I do have people here to help me with this one. So just bear with me for a second on this, right? So back in the day, women were expected to do women things around the kitchen and all these horrible things, Stepford wifey stuff. But you know what? Women should be able to decide what they want to do, the career they want to have, the path they want to choose. But sometimes nature gets in the way of that and mindsets change. So today, I'm speaking to Alex McCarthy and Camilla Monk. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. Was that misogynistic or was that okay?
That was great. I was nodding along.
I didn't want to come across misogynistic, but I kind of wanted to point at the fact that it used to be a misogynistic world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and largely still is. I mean, we've evolved. It's changed. It's getting better. But there's definitely still the stereotypes exist.
Yes.
Yeah, and I found that largely actually this year. Is this where I announced my news?
Well, we'll get straight into it. I mean, like
before I launch into that,
we're talking about obviously when someone's career driven and they focus on a career, and then the natural thing happens, and somebody falls pregnant, or in your case, and it changes everything, right?
Yes.
First of all,
the short answer, yes.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
How does that feel? I'm trying to find the right words to describe this. How does it feel when you got all, you had all these plans and now they've been changed by this? I think that's the best way to put it.
It's been a journey, to put it simply, this year, and I'm really transparent and open and honest. I know myself and Mills have spoken about this as well, but when I found out, it wasn't that film moment where there's the joy and you run to your partner and it's like, oh my God, I've got a positive pregnancy test. It was a complete and utter shock, and I thought, surely not. And as soon as the result came, it was actually, I think horror would probably be my biggest word, just because it was so unexpected. And I openly talk, I've spoken about this on a previous podcast, but I had some infertility issues in my previous relationship, which led me to believe that it wasn't on the cards for me, and I was good with that as well.
And someone has got to plan ahead when you got your own business. That is a huge factor into this, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, everything was going, and it still is going. We'll kind of come to how it's evolved, I suppose. But for me, business was going really well. I was single. Actually, no, that's a lie. Sorry, Dave. I wasn't single, but I'd spent most of my business life since I decided to start the business. I had been single, without children, and I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I did, and I think there's a bit of shame around it sometimes as a woman when you say you really enjoyed being childless and you enjoyed having that.
There is a huge talking point on this at the moment, though, isn't there? There's a lot of the younger generation that are like, I don't want kids.
Yeah, it's becoming much more acceptable now to make that choice.
Yeah, let me turn you up a bit, Camilla, because very quiet. But you can do it, though. You can have the career and you can have a family too, right?
Absolutely. More and more it's becoming something that everyone can...
Why is that? Sorry. I wasn't even moving it, it was just turning up by itself. So you can... Hear me. You are a very successful businesswoman.
Thank you very much, yeah.
And you've done a great thing. So you are proof in the pudding.
I am the proof.
Camilla's my role model in motherhood and business, because you're living proof that you can do both. Times 4.
Thank you very much. That's a massive compliment, and I'll take that. Thank you.
And we need to get a shout out to Becky listening as well. It's meant to be with us today.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel qualified to do this. Talk about... I could talk about parenthood.
Yeah.
And somebody did put because I did throw a thing on Facebook yesterday. It was a half-arsed comment, to be honest, and I didn't get many responses, but somebody put, can't you compare the both? And I think, no, I think we need to spend a bit of time specifically talking about mothers.
Absolutely, because ultimately it is the female's role to hold the baby, to physically nurture and grow that child. And it has a huge impact on the way you think, the way that you operate, just even the thought process that goes through kind of managing a baby, physically having it, and running a business. It's fundamental, isn't it?
I think from the moment you see that positive result, your life is not the same again. And honestly, like in that very moment, the change started from then. And it is, as much as it's a physical experience that you're having, you're kind of preparing to become this new person and fulfill this new role that you haven't had. And then you have business in where you're almost trying to be, and I found this really hard in the beginning. I wanted to be that person and that person. I wanted to be the nurturing mother who was just really feminine and flowing, and then I wanted to be Alex, the driven, ambitious, goal-getting business owner who motivates and helps fire other people up. And I was like, oh, how on earth am I going to be both?
Yeah, the polar opposite almost.
Yeah, it felt like
especially when you run your own business, you're kind of very much in your male energy, and yet you're growing a life within you at the same time, and it does have an impact.
It's a lot to do with independence as well, though, isn't it? Because like when you have a dependent, and you're changing nappies, and you can't leave them on their own, you can't go down to the pub and leave them at home, like you can't do any of that, right? That is as fundamental, because it's not got you can have babysitters and you can still do the fun things, but it has to be measured, doesn't
Absolutely, yeah. And it's about compartmentalisation, I think, in the end.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you have to be able to split yourself into two very different people, very disparate roles, to be a business owner, developing your business and having a passion for that, delivering a service to your clients, and still serving your children. And it's a disparate role. something that needs juggling and getting your head around. A lot of people think it's not possible to do both, but it is possible.
And I appreciate there's probably women listening to this probably agree with you. Probably been in that mindset like, oh my God, I didn't want to do this now. What's happening? This is terrible.
Yeah.
And there are probably women thinking this, oh my God, this is a precious thing. You can't be. Have you had that kind of patronism, kind of like, what are you on about?
I found it so hard to speak my truth and not to say what I feel that I should to society's standards to talk about, because I'm overjoyed by what's happening in my body, and that I've been given this opportunity to be a mother. I think it's absolutely amazing. I'm also allowed to feel the other feelings with
Spanner in the works,
which are like this wasn't part of the vision. I know my vision boards had to change a little bit, but actually, what I'm going to get from this gift and this experience is all of these other things that might not have been in the vision, but I'm really glad that they are in there now. Because it's a whole different appreciation for life and a different sense of purpose and meaning. And I think it's taken me probably till 8 months in to really be sitting and fully embracing that. But yeah,
I mean, there are a couple of aspects I'm thinking about now. When you're business driven, I'm not going to say it's dog eat dog, but there's a focus and a drive there, right?
Absolutely.
But when you have kids, I mean, speak to someone who's been out there and done it.
Yeah.
When you get the empathy and the compassion you get when you have kids, and all the emotions behind that, does it take the drive away from that focus a little bit? No,
not for me. So I found that it was actually the opposite. I expected that drive to disappear, but actually what it did, it focused my mind on what I actually wanted and why I wanted it. The why became bigger. Suddenly I'm supporting children.
There's a purpose.
Oh God, the purpose went through the roof. And it helped me cut through the bits that I didn't want to do, and it kind of showed me where I did want to go and gave me energy and drive to absolutely pursue it with a new passion. Suddenly I've got children to support, I've got to inspire them. You have a different sense of purpose. You've got a little team behind you. It's not just you anymore. You're there to prove to them and to yourself that you can do it. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. And it's amazing how versatile you become, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. It's all about balance at the end of the day. You can have both.
So how far gone are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 35 weeks tomorrow.
No big surprises. Nobody's scared.
Hold on a second. So when you came on my show last time, were you...
No, it might have been just before. It must have been. Was it November we did the podcast? Anyway,
are we checking dates?
We're just checking dates. Was I actually pregnant when I was here? I think it was just before. But yeah, I'm technically ready to pop anytime after 2 weeks from now. Which
a mop Vitas.
Keep her calm.
I know, which is absolutely crazy. But
and in those 35 weeks, how dramatically has your mindset changed, and how many times? You're shaking your head like that.
I can see this mindset shift from outside of Alex. So how does she feel?
I feel like I thought I was fully on the personal development train, being a coach, being really into my podcast and my books and events, and really embracing going out of my comfort zone and all of this stuff. I thought I was doing the work. I thought, yeah, I'm cool, I'm on it. And then this year has just catapulted any previous personal development that I've done. It's accelerated at times 100 this year because I haven't been able to escape. Does that make sense? I haven't been able to escape the change that's happening to me.
It's still happening. You wake up in the morning it's still there.
It sounds such a weird way of explaining it, but I've had to really surrender and accept and sit with all of the uncomfortable emotions as they've come up and process them and
just let it happen.
And allow myself to change and be like, it's okay. That previous version of myself last year, she was great and that's fine, but I'm not that person anymore. I'm not. It's like initiation, I feel like, is about to happen. And I think I'm about to get some really, experience some home truths when it comes to being, selfless and giving that selfless love and unconditional love that I haven't experienced before. So it's all quite daunting and exciting.
Yeah.
I've met both men and women over my years that were like, kids, yeah, whatever, until they have their own.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh my God, I love him so much.
It's that first look at your baby.
Oh,
yeah, changes everything.
It's going to happen to you.
I know. Soon.
And when it comes to people around you, how have you learned to cope with the different reactions you get from the different responses you've given
So
to this?
interesting, this, isn't it?
It is, because I think that I've lost people this year who don't connect with me probably the same as they did when I was the childless, more carefree version. But I've had to accept that I can't be a different version of myself to try and please everyone. I have to just be like, this is me, this is where I'm at, this is the cliche as it sounds, the journey that I'm on, and it's okay if you want to unfollow and not be part of that. I also appreciate that I've got friends who are going through their own fertility things at the moment, and I've had to treat that really delicately, and I'm very, very conscious that I don't want the online community that I built and what I stand for to be mumpreneur, mum this, mum at the forefront. It's actually Alex, and I'm a mum, and I'm this, and I'm this, and I'm that.
Jazz hands in the face of someone that doesn't want to see that,
Yeah.
Well, people are obviously happy for you, but if you were like, the people that are going for fertility, for fertility treatment,
yes,
and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing, then you're probably like, cool. I get it. Totally.
I totally agree with not putting it out there as your USP.
Yeah.
I think that we are women, we carry the babies, and it's part of life. Hopefully, luckily for some of us, it's part of our lives. But it shouldn't be the reason why you're selling your business. We are business women and we have children. And that's
Chris
brilliant.
Rock joke, isn't it? I look after my kids. I do this. You're supposed to do that.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's it, isn't it? It doesn't have to become your identity.
No.
It's part of your life.
But that's why we're doing this today, is because, yes, this is your story and this is singular to you, but I feel like it's a broader subject that maybe people listen to this now and going, yes, I felt like that. I'm glad I'm not the only one, or, I'm glad that it's a normal feeling to have.
They talk about mum guilt, don't they, a lot with work. And it's a big subject. Mum guilt is a real thing.
What's mum guilt?
So we're of the generation that we were brought up that we could do anything. We have lots of choice. Yes, we still have babies, but we are expected to have careers. And mum guilt is basically when you're in that role as a parent, as a business owner, and you're a mum, and you're thinking, well, should I be with them? Could I do things differently? Are my children missing out because I'm pursuing my career? And it's something that goes round and round and round, and actually stifles a lot of women in business because they feel beholden to this idea of a perfect motherhood, that they've got to provide their children with this incredible kind of mother input, and somehow it means that they can't fulfill their careers at the same time.
I get that.
Mum guilt's a big thing. People miss out on opportunities because of it. Can I be successful in my career, or does that mean that I've dropped the ball somewhere with my children?
And I guess, with yourself, is it trial and tribulation?
Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes to business?
Trial and error, absolutely, yeah.
Trial and tribulation, I don't know where that came from. Usually I'm such a wordsmith. Trial and tribulation. Well, yeah, trial.
That's the name of a film.
Trial and error.
Yeah, it is, yeah. We're going classy with this one.
You kind of... when I was, starting out, I was lucky enough that I started my own business whilst I was pregnant with my first baby. I made that decision very early on that if I wanted to continue in the way that I was going, I had to take ownership of that. I had to have autonomy, and that's the way I did it. And my children came to sight. It was, I'm Camilla, I'm the architect, and these are my children, and that's the package. So if you want to work with me, this is the package, this is the deal. And actually, it helped me form my niche in my business, because I'm now a bona fide family woman who designs family homes. So I know how they work from the inside.
You've got a very good circle of friends. You're talking about Camilla, you talk about Becky, you talk about people that have got kids that are doing this thing, successfully too. So
I'm so fortunate to have that reflected back to me about what is possible, not to look at the limits and the constraints, but there's just living evidence, like Camilla, that you can do both. And like you said, I thought it was a really good point, is that you design your business to fit around your lifestyle. It's not the other way around. And actually, if a client doesn't deem you as professional enough because you have a child, are they really someone that you want to work with? They're probably not someone I would want to work with. Yeah. So roll on Shropshire in Business events in November, because we are going to have a special edition.
Joining, I'm going to carry the baby around.
Camilla's like, can I be the event nanny? I'm like, yes, yes you can.
It's about balance as well, though, isn't it? You know, you see all these. Elf is the perfect example. Great movie. But it's like
example.
It is a great example, because he's kind of like, you got to get this book finished by Christmas, and it ends with him going, you know what, I quit. I'm going to go spend time with my family. If you weren't put in that position in the first place, or putting yourself in that position in the first place, there wouldn't be that snap moment where you walk out of your job. It's got to be balanced.
Absolutely.
Right? I hope that makes sense. If you've not seen Elf, go and watch Elf, man. It's an incredible movie. And
It's a great example.
It is.
Yeah. And you got to get, what are you like when it comes to vulnerability and opening up? Because when it comes to kids, that's going to happen very naturally. It's going to be all all that love and kind of back into energy.
In terms of opening up to your clients about your situation.
Well, like when it comes to business mode, it's business mode, right? Warrior, Wilson Stephen Marshall stuff,
Yeah.
But when it comes to like being vulnerable with a loved one, does that happen naturally easy? It's probably a really personal question to ask, but
it's a great question. I actually think that the most powerful thing that you can be is vulnerable. And whereas I used to see it as a very feminine, soft quality, it is powerful to be vulnerable. And I think those qualities that have been typically deemed as feminine over the years now, we're looking at and realising that they're the power drivers in business. And actually, business isn't about wearing a suit and exchanging small talk on the surface level. People are looking to connect.
Yeah.
Build
It's relationship management.
Relationship building.
Yeah, absolutely. I work with residential clients, and I go into their homes and I have to build rapport and a relationship. And a lot of that relationship is based on my vulnerability to serve them and their vulnerability to let me help them. So I think the qualities of motherhood, of raising children, it kind of brings that vulnerability out.
And discipline as well. I guess like you could have difficult clients where you're like, time out now, in the corner.
Naughty step.
George, drink your juice. You drink your juice, you sit in the corner. Have we got a deal, guys,
Yeah. I think it kind of, it reduces a lot of issues, doesn't it? So if you have a client that you're butting heads with, or there's difficulty in the chemistry, sometimes when you're a mum, you can kind of see where's that coming from? When you're dealing with I'm not saying client's a child, but when you're dealing with children that can't express their emotions, you have to kind of get to the root cause of what's going on there. You have to kind of work it out, investigate what's going on. And that skill set with a client is quite useful, because you have to go, right, okay, this isn't working. What's the problem? What's going on? You have to investigate and kind of be a mediator.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Problem solving.
Yeah.
And as well, on the extreme as well, on those hot summer days when the child just don't stop screaming.
But they can't communicate.
They can't communicate. But
and a client will, if they're not used to interacting with a service provider where there's a vulnerable connection, they're not used to communicating like that either.
No.
So you can use the same skill set to kind of draw out what the problem is. And
I think that's a really important insight, not necessarily just for business, but in real life, genuine. Like sometimes we'll come across someone that's just beeping behind you in the car, and you kind of like, I can't hear what you're saying, and you're just beeping at me. Just go. Just go. Like, I've found situations where I felt really guilty about, Timmy was really little, and he was being relentless. He's not normally that bad, but I think he was teething or something. And I went to the room and I screamed into my pillow. And then went and dealt with it. I felt really guilty for that, but that's really good.
That's a really good method.
Yeah, it's a
really good method.
The pillow screams are great.
Absolutely.
They're great.
Let it out.
It's the same thing as standing on a cliff and screaming. You release all that energy and stuff.
Yeah.
What things are you looking forward to? Like when you heard this, what are the first things you started like going, actually no, there's going to be this. We're going to be able to do this. Are there things that you saw?
It took me a while to see any of those positives, being really honest, because I was mourning who I was, and I saw it as, I think in the early stages of pregnancy when you don't feel them and you don't physically look any different. It's all a mental challenge. And I think as I started to physically change, I started to have that time to think about them becoming they're a human being. They're not just a baby. They're going to grow up and they're going to be, a fully fledged adult eventually. And I started just thinking, wow, they're not just a baby. They're going to be all of the other stages of human as well. And they're going to be, I've made them. that's really cool. And so it's just, I think the whole physical journey of pregnancy has amazed me that we have bodies that can do it. And I think for a long time, having believed that I couldn't physically do that, it's been a lot of gratitude towards that, just really trying to enjoy it.
Do you reckon a lot of this is because you'd built a hard shell around the idea of not having kids?
Yeah, weirdly, it had become part of my identity, I think, than not having children. And I think a few people have said to me they've heard me say it at events before, and I didn't realise how much that I actually said it. I said, no, don't know if children's for me. It was like a narrative that I kept feeding, being like, no, and I really liked being the auntie. And I love being with children. I think children are amazing, and I think I'm good with them, but I've always just been like, no,
that's
not
cool.
me.
I'm glad you do. I'm joking.
I'm going to have my hands full for the next few months. But,
can we do this again in 6 months' time?
oh my gosh. Yeah, it might be a little harder then.
We need a tiny little microphone for the baby.
Oh wow, definitely need to do. Have you seen those tiny little ones that people use? We definitely need to get one of them.
That would be cute.
What are the things? Are the things that you built up in your mind that were mountains out of molehills? That you're like, oh, what was a? That's
It's a great question. There's a lot of that, isn't there?
It's huge because, and I think it's a good point now to bring in that I've had women have told me over the past few months that they are choosing to not have children, which is, of course, we all have a choice where we want to do it, but they're specifically not going for that and looking to include that as part of their life because they don't believe you can have both. They can't see how can you have a business and be a mother, and how can you be this and that, and they're not seeing that you can bring it all together. So I think one of the biggest mountains in my head was that people are going to think I'm less credible, less professional. They're not going to want to work with me because I'm having a baby and I'm less of all of the things that I am.
It's taken me far too long in life to realise that it's just human nature for people to just comment unnecessarily, right? So if you hear someone, I've got friends that chose not to ever have kids, genuinely,
same.
and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And maybe the first time I've heard that, I've gone, oh, why not? And then I've realised that's really stupid thing to say, because it's like human nature to be saying that, but that's a wrong thing to say. If someone chooses to have kids, to not have kids, to adopt rather than to have natural kids,
absolutely,
whatever it is, you should never question them.
No.
It's their choice.
I think it's quite sad though, really, that women feel they have to make that choice.
Yes.
Because it's clearly coming from society saying, the understanding is that if you have children, you are going to be preoccupied and you're not going to be able to focus as clearly on your profession. But you're an expert or you're not. And if you're an expert, it doesn't matter if you have children or not. You are going to continue to be that expert. Having children doesn't take anything away from that. It just changes how you manage your life and how you manage the situation.
Yeah, adapt.
And we all know that when something big happens and you adapt, often the adaptation makes life better. You're often in a better position than you were before.
Yeah, it enhances rather than takes anything away. And it's changed my outlook on business because I was really panicking about how it was all going to work. And then I've just by changing my mindset and saying, okay, what I can't do in person, I can still deliver through a laptop or a phone. It won't be for everybody, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be for everyone. And let's just focus on what I can do rather than what I can't, which now means that I have a viable business model which continues through. And when I keep being asked, so when are you going on maternity leave? I'm like, I'm not. but of course I'm not going to be running events and doing 7-hour VIP coaching days with people, but the business still gets to continue, but in a very different format.
When it comes to, you'll know this, and you're probably thinking about this an awful lot, but is there a plan you have to put in place for when you've had the baby, when you're running your own business? Is there something that you put in place? Do you have to earn a little bit more on money to get you through that bit? Are there other things you need to put in place that it ticks over nicely?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're in employment, obviously you have maternity cover, you have an expectation of when you're due to go back. Your finances are slightly more managed in that way. When you're self-employed, I think there's obviously a rigorous kind of planning process that needs to go on. But the biggest one for me is that women need to give themselves time to get back to work. They need to give time to rest, recoup, and come back stronger. I think that there's this want to do it all so fast that you don't give time to rest and recover and recognise what a massive thing you've done. You know, you've produced a whole human being.
And those first few weeks when you have a child, those bonding experiences are the most magical, which is
Absolutely.
the most important bit. I always remember when Timmy first went to nursery, he was, I can't remember how old, I think it was like, God, was he 6 months? He was very young, baby still, and I was kind of like, he's so vulnerable, and you got to leave him with all these people. I don't know these people, you know. But you have to learn to let go. And
Takes a community to bring up a child. So.
Oh, that's a nice saying.
Yeah.
That's a nice.
Takes a village.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So, how are you feeling about it all now? You're happy?
I'm feeling
excited?
good and happy and excited, and I've just been so transparent with people who are coming on board as clients at the moment. I'm pregnant. Don't know when they're going to arrive. If they arrive, from the date they arrive, the first 4 weeks, I'm pausing. Your contract will be paused. I'm going to enjoy them, and then business will continue. Yes, I don't know exactly how I'm going to feel. Yes, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I've accepted that is part of the exciting journey of having a business. Is that new chapter? It evolves.
And
you
that's
evolve.
what I was going to say. This is the next chapter in your book.
Yeah.
Kids and factoring that into business and
And I know there's so many amazing men and women. I know I talk about women a lot in my world, but there are men and women out there who doubt that they doubt their capabilities, and they doubt that they can be this and that. We sometimes we put the blinkers on, and we think if we're this type of person and we make this life decision or choice, it means that we have to have this type of life or business. But I just want to be an advocate for being able to do both, being able to be all the feminine things and a badass masculine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What's the word? Masculine what in business? To have that to own the masculine traits that you have as well. You can be both.
and to excuse me, I'll bleep it out, but to up too.
Yeah.
You're
to learn from it and move on
you're gonna
and
mess up. You're gonna.
Oh
make
yeah,
mistakes.
that's all to come.
Yeah.
And I want to share that as well. I'd share the things that I'm not going to get right, because I'm sure there's going to be many of them, many learnings that I'm sure you have both experienced as parents.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think my biggest one was trying to go back too soon.
Was it?
Yeah. And a couple of weeks difference, and every time I had a baby, having 4, I got to have a go at it a few times. And I think there was a sweet spot where you go back and you're ready and you're hungry to start work again. And if you make that too short a time, it just doesn't work. You need time to recoup and refocus and then get back in.
When you were having, obviously you said you started up your business while you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Are there any books, any resources that you looked at that helped you?
I flew by the seat of my pants.
Yeah.
I took what I'd learnt at university. I'd obviously been in practice for many years before I started, and I was very lucky that I was a second income. So I could start small and learn with support. So my financial input at that time didn't matter. So I was in a very fortunate position. And now, it's different. So.
And what the great thing about you, Alex, is that you are now in a position where you've got these amazing friends around you. So that if you are having an off day, let's get together and we'll help you out. And
I've already said I'll babysit.
I've never felt so supported in my entire life. It's incredible.
You're such an independent go-getter, though. Is there a part of you that's going, no, leave me alone, I can do it?
It's weird. That's what's changed in me this year. Is yes, that was previous Alex. I wore that badge of honour of I've built this on my own. I can do it on my own. I'm very independent. And this year, my support network have carried me, and I couldn't have done it without them. To be able to have people that I can be really honest and tell them that I'm not feeling great and that I am doubting myself and I am doing, and just to have really open, honest conversations, and support is everything.
I'd say that's the biggest lesson I've learned throughout it too. I started off as I'm Mama Bear, I'm responsible for my children, I'm a businesswoman, and if I fail or slow down, it's somehow a failure to ask for help. But it's the biggest lesson I've learned, that actually asking for help makes you stronger. It validates 100%. Your friends, they feel that they're there to support you and they can and they want to. And, I want to be asked for help. I'm glad that Alex will ask me for help, and I look forward to supporting her. I think it's an incredible thing to be asked to do.
Yeah, me too. I feel since chatting to you guys, you the highly flammable lot, I'm going to have to call you guys, because there's Aaron, there's you, there's Becky, there's Stephen. There's so many people that I've met through this line of us talking. You guys, I feel, not just valued guests, you're friends, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, when I started seeing your posts about when you're on social media explaining, you're almost apologetic in a way. I'm really sorry, but I'm pregnant.
I know. I do look back at that and think, oh, but this is the journey, isn't it?
I wanted to give you a hug through the screen. It's like, I wanted to be like, oh, Alex, it's okay.
But I think that I had to put that out there first in that tone, because that's where I was at, how I was feeling at the time.
Yeah.
And it was almost like
you're being honest.
It was ripping a plaster off, and I kept rewriting that post again and again and trying to change the tone of it. And I was like, do you know what? I just have got to own that it feels messy and uncomfortable and vulnerable, but I'm just putting it out because it's
and
the
there
truth.
are people listening to this now that have been in the exact same place you are now. And that's the whole point of this podcast, is to reach out and say, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to do that. It's okay to feel like that. And there's also something that you're going to get that you probably never had before, and that's a mama's ferocity. There's a mama mode.
Mama bear mode.
Yeah, mama bear mode. Like, you're going to... Somebody wrongs your child. Ooh.
They go into a book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your name is on the list.
I'm sure you've got that kind of focus anyway. If somebody like does something wrong or tries to screw your business over or something like you're on it. But when it comes to your child, there's nothing else.
And they do give you drive like nothing else. You know, the idea of supporting your children gives you incredible drive.
I want to inspire them to be able to think big and to go out there and do whatever they want with their life. And if I can be that, not just for me but for them, that's very motivating.
Yeah.
I'm going to get proper vulnerable, more vulnerable than I normally get on the podcast with you guys right now. I feel like I've lived 3 different lives. Okay, so I had 3 children with my ex in Wrexham, right? So my oldest, I got to see him for the first stages of his life, and the younger ones obviously not so much. So I've had the separated father life, and I've had the seeing Timmy from birth, having him live with me, and I've got to say, whether they're over there in Wrexham or whether they're in your house, the love and the emotion you have when it comes to your children, I'm experiencing everything from every angle at the moment. I've got my 18-year-old who's just suffered his first breakup, his first love. He's got his first job. I'm sorry, Leon, but it's life. That's how it goes. And he's like, Dad, what can I do to make it feel better? And I was like, there are a million songs written about women. Go listen to some Beatles, you know. And then I've got Timmy, who's just, starting out in life, 8 years old. You know, it's just an amazing journey that you go on, regardless of what situation you're in. I think that's the whole point of that. What I'm trying to say is,
you learn a lot about yourself bringing children up. You see back into your childhood and your expectations and your kind of biases and
I was 18 when I had my first kid, and I got my 18-year-old asking me how to do life, and I'm like, maybe you should ask someone else, you know. But I value that though. I do value that, and that's another thing about it, is a value in the little things in life, the 30-minute naps.
Oh yeah, everyone likes a nana nap.
It's weird because I feel like that's one thing that, and I'm sure I will still feel very tired in that first bit, but I've never slept great. I've always been I get up really early and then struggle to go to sleep. So sleep's never been a huge importance to me, I suppose.
Alex, can you just record that?
Yeah.
And I know that people will be listening to this just you wait.
When you find the Sunday afternoon naps, oh my god! Up until Timmy was about 4 or 5, we'd have a Sunday nap.
Family nap, absolutely.
Because I work nights and it was natural for me to go to bed anyway. My wife would be like, well, we'll jump in bed with you for half an hour. So we'd go to bed for half an hour. And then we got to a stage, it was like, Timmy, come for a nap. And he's like, no. His kid, he's a bit, come on, come and have a nap. And he's like, no. Yeah.
My partner Dave loves sleep, loves a nap, and is always confused why I can't do them. But I'm sure that maybe I'll be on the nap train.
Sounds like you guys got his priorities right, because they do say that life is happier when you have a siesta.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Alex, I feel like I said when I first saw your post, I want to give you a hug. Because you're doing something I feel like not everybody does, and you're putting it all out there, your vulnerabilities and your journey. And I feel like that's actually going to help people, right?
Yeah.
Because they're going to see that and they're going to see themselves in that.
I try and be honest and open and transparent and not just say what people want to hear, because it is the truth. The truth of it is, yes, it was unplanned. Yes, it was a few months into a relationship. And yes, it's been every single emotion under the sun, but that's real. It's real. And I think that if that can help anyone who's going through a similar situation or who might be pregnant now and listening and experiencing this whole like range of weird emotions, like that is okay. And it does get better the further that you go along the journey and connect with what's happening with your body and what's going on. And things do fall into place. If you asked me 7 months ago how I'd be feeling now, they're polar opposites, but it takes time. Just flow with it, allow it, surrender to it.
What I found funny was when we were expecting and when the baby's born, up until a certain point, I think, at an age of a child, you answer the same questions over and over again. When's the baby due? The baby not here yet? Do you know what you're having?
What's its name?
Yep.
What would you prefer? I mean, how's that for you? It's repetition, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I haven't found out the sex of the baby, so I keep referring to it as them. And they're like, twins? I'm like, no, there's one. But with those, I think I haven't actually been asked that many times really about the same questions really, which has been, I have about the sex of the baby, yes. I haven't got a name either, so I just say I don't know why they haven't got a name. I don't think I think they're going to be born into this world with no name, but that's okay.
Just a question mark.
I need to look at them and then I'll know.
Do you know how we found Timmy's name was? We were watching the movie Need for Speed.
Oh yeah.
It's awful, by the way. A terrible movie. But we were looking at the credits as they come up. And we were just like, that. And then Timothy came up. I was like, you don't hear many Tims these days, do you?
That's lovely.
That's a really cool way to...
Look at the credits on the end of a movie.
Why have I not thought of that? Right, I'm doing that.
Unless it's a Marvel movie, because there's like 4 rows and it's...
You can't call your baby Flash Gordon. That's taken.
Oh, that's a great name, actually. I got to say, when I worked in the supermarket when Kaz was due with Timmy, and it's very hard to get time off during Christmas, right? You're not allowed. It's Christmas, right? And Timmy was due just before Christmas, and I was like, I'm going to be off Christmas, suckers. He was born on New Year's Day. And during, talk about the repetition of these questions, a supermarket, I work with hundreds of people, right? And there's customers too that see me. And when I clock in, it's when I get to where I work, about 6 people have come up to me and gone, "Is she dropped yet? The baby here yet?" I wouldn't be like you.
People get so excited about it, they just want to be part of the process.
And you've got to remind yourself that these are actually people that care.
And when you're heavily pregnant, you just want your baby. So when everyone asks, you're like, no, please stop asking me. It's like the biggest thing that you want to happen.
I think I'm about to enter into that zone now, when it gets to full term, and especially because I've got this next 10 days in Shrewsbury, and then I'm nesting. In nesting mode in bed.
Oh, what's that like for you?
I don't know.
You're not hit it yet?
No. I've moved, but I'm still staying with family, fulfilling work commitments, business commitments here, and then I'm going to be just staying online, and waiting. So I think that's going to be the period of time where I'm like, is anything happening yet?
I promise not to message you every 5 minutes.
I don't mind. But yeah, it'll be nice to do that because again, it's very against instinct for me. I thrive off not busyness, that's not the right word. I thrive off people and doing my work and doing the job that I do. I like travelling from here and there. I like being active. So being still and not doing a lot, I'm probably going to find quite challenging.
You can still do a lot though. I know a lot of mums that go out and take their mum, do like get one of those city stroller and go running with the baby in the pram. And you do. There's so many things you can get out there and.
Yeah, I suppose you make it what you want of it, don't you? You do it the way that you want to do it, rather than the way that you think. Again, this is the thing with stereotypes and societal norms is. Whether we like it or not, I think, especially as women, we do conform sometimes without even consciously knowing why we're doing it.
Yeah, we're not stuck in that nonsense I mentioned at the beginning, the Stepford wifey, stay at home with the baby. You can go out there and do it, as you all...
Yeah, I remember taking... So Leo, my first child, I didn't really take him to sight or anything. I kind of hid him away, and I went through all of that kind of stereotypical time where you think that as a mum you've almost got to hide your child away to be seen as professional. And then when Casper came along, he had a sling and a hard hat and a high vis. And he was on site with me in a sling, and I was like, yeah, I've had a baby. And they'd be like, oh my God, you're wearing a baby. Like, yeah, he's coming to site, he's coming to the meetings, he's tiny, he was asleep, he was happy. And I took him with me. It was great.
I love the idea that the lessons that I teach my kid, they're gonna go on and be better people than I was. Timmy holds doors open for people.
That's
He's very polite. Until they start playing Fortnite and start hearing words they shouldn't be and phrases that they shouldn't be saying. That's all part of it too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm tapping my microphone like an absolute novice. Because I feel like I get emotional with it as well, especially when it comes to like, I don't think there's a guilt, but there's like an appreciation that can't be expressed enough. Like my wife was breastfeeding, right? So I couldn't, in the middle of the night, I could just pat her on the back. I had a girl. Do you know what I mean? There's not a lot you can do in those circumstances.
But that's a lovely way to support her. That's fantastic.
And then working nights as well, I was kind of like, hope you're okay. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's when it comes to mums and the responsibilities that you do have and the responsibilities that you juggle. Like, I'll say to my wife, I want to cook. She's like, no, got it. Don't worry about it. As much as I really want to help, she's just there doing it, and I appreciate it for that. And I'm sure there's lots of guys out there feels the same.
Yeah, 100%.
It takes a team. Everyone's got their kind of role and their input, and you can support each other in a myriad of different ways.
So, have you got a message for your followers and the people that follow you? As far as the future is concerned, is there anything you want to say to reassure them, or a message of thanks, or I mean, is there anything?
Definitely thanks for all of the support I've received this year, because it's been incredible, and I'm really glad that I allowed myself to receive that as well, and not just bat it off and do the whole independent, I've got this on my own, because I haven't got it on my own. I need my support network to make me feel as strong as I do. In terms of business, I'm actually really excited about what's next, because it's complete unknown territory for me. But what I do know is this year I've reconnected to my purpose in my work more than I ever have. I know that I'm here to coach, to guide, to support, and I'm excited to see how being a mother helps to add to that. I think it's going to develop my compassion and empathy, and help me to connect to people, especially other mothers, in a deeper way than maybe I haven't been able to up till now.
In your personal experience kind of way, absolutely. I think it makes a massive difference when you're a coach and you're coaching women that have families. To have that inside perspective is incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
I'm doing some TikTok-y stuff on my phone. I was listening to what you were saying there. It's. I think business is something like. I didn't feel like I could sit here and explain everything that's going on in your mind and in your mind, and I can say thank you, like I just have, an appreciation for women that go out and do these amazing things. It's like a superpower, right? It's something that you can't explain, especially when it comes to the emotions that are involved. But business is definitely the reason why I've got you here and you here, because when it comes to keeping going and prospering, and whilst you got a baby, you're the expert, Camilla. You've been out there and done that.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you for coming and helping out.
Thank you very much.
Is there anything that you'd like to? Is there any advice that you've given to Alex along the way during this process that you think would be shareable for our customers, our listeners?
Yeah, I think probably Alex has been incredible. She hasn't needed much advice. She's kind of worked out a lot, and she's asked questions. She's been curious. But I think just to lean in, just lean in and accept the changes and see a way through and see it as a positive, kind of powerful move in your career. And I think she's done it. She's nailing it.
Oh, thank you.
And just maybe to other women out there thinking that, you can't have family in a career. You absolutely can, but you might need to be more flexible in your idea of what that career looks like. And how you manage it. And maybe being self-employed, perhaps, might be the way to solve it.
Yeah. And you got to just take those moments, like I said, those 30-minute naps, that little bit of time of the day off with the kid. Like, I'm not going to the Battle of Shrewsbury tomorrow because I feel like I've barely seen my family. So I've cancelled it. I'm going tomorrow to watch football with my family because as much as I really do love what I'm doing, I know I'm overdoing it and it's punishing my family a little bit. So
They do help you see the priority.
Yeah.
Having a family really helps you see your priorities and stick to them.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we've missed? Is there anything that you feel like, why didn't Alex bring that up? Like, is there anything that burning desire to speak about?
I don't think so. I think largely, I just hope that anyone listening who has resonance with anything that we've spoken about today finds inspiration in it, that they can do both. You know, you can be a parent, a great parent. Not that I know that I've actually stepped into this yet, but I'm imagining that, well, with
You're
likes of
parenting
Camilla.
right now, the baby's here, just in there.
I think the fact that you're here doing this podcast today is testament to the fact how much you care about this, actually. Do you know what I mean? Well, you could, like you said, you could have just been like, no, I've got this, like you said. You know, you could have just been like taking it on by yourself, gone into a dark room and just be like, I've got a baby. But you didn't. You're on a podcast to talk about your emotions because it means so much to you.
Yeah, and also owning that it's unknown, it's change, it's uncomfortable, it's not all airy fairy roses, sun tinted glasses, rose tinted glasses,
Rainbows and unicorns.
rainbows and unicorns, and all of that
Sun-tinted
stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean. Baby brain.
I think it's super powerful that you've made clear how important it is to be vulnerable and to accept help. I certainly, when I started out, thought I had to do it myself. I had to prove myself by being the only one to carry all of the burden. And actually, watching Alex do it in such a vulnerable way and accepting help is a massive lesson for anyone listening to this. That it is not weak to ask for help. That if you're going to do something this incredible, then use your support network.
And go and find community and people who are showing and reflecting back to you the type of life that you want to lead and the qualities that you're looking and aspiring to have, which is, I'm so fortunate to have women like Camilla wrapped around me who keep reflecting back, you can do it, you can, and who don't even have to say you can. I just watch them and it gives me the inspiration and motivation that I need to be able to do it. So
I think that's
grateful.
something that I've again, over my 3 lives on this earth, is picking friends and people around me that I think I need around me, the positive influences, not necessarily people that are going to be like, oh no. Have people around you that have similar mindsets.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what you just said. I'm inside them to like, but no, that's what I'm learning. You know, that you got to be able to do that.
yeah, and it's not plugging the Shropshire and business community.
You can plug away.
Maybe it is a tiny bit.
You need to.
But I feel that there are so many people who've come into the network, both the women in business and the larger community with men and women together. We are inspiring the hell out of each other, and it's just great. And seeing like real life stories of people who are not afraid to go out there and get after it and not let things hold them back. And there's just, I feel like, especially in the Shrewsbury community, there's so many incredible, inspiring people. And even if you haven't got a business and you're thinking about just wanting to get in a community of people who are big thinkers and they're open-minded and supportive, come and find us and step in. I am pausing till November, but
It's an incredible space because it does allow the vulnerability that you have to show in order to grow.
Yeah.
You know, and that the space that Alex has created with Shropshire Women in Business is literally a safe space for women that are either developing businesses or are wanting to take it on to the next stage. Most have babies, if not, they are still women and you know, responsible for children in some way. And it's an incredible environment to see people's vulnerabilities. They, you know, we've had people in floods of tears. We have people that bring problems to the table, and within half an hour it's solved because you have a network of women all working with a common good to support one another. It's an incredibly powerful environment.
Yeah. And I'm gutted now because I've got a new job that I'm going to be working through the day. I start in 2 weeks. So I could have come to your workshops in 2 weeks' time, but you're pausing.
oh no, I'm
She'll be
back.
back.
I'm back in. I've got November and December dates that are booked in with Highly Flammable Studios. So until then, I'll be online. I'll still be there.
You take your time.
I will be just sticking to what I said and just having a slower pace with no
Yes,
expectation, which I think is just the theme of
I'm a hypocrite
life right
because
now.
I'm the same. I'm like, I need a bit of time. Just take my time, relax a bit. Did a podcast yesterday. I'm doing press stuff hopefully with the football club for the weekend. Like, it's just mad, isn't it, how we drive ourselves? But,
And the thing is, if your career, like Alex, is something that's a real passion, if it's a vocation, you want to get back to it. You know, it's not that it's this big, I've got to go back to work. It's, I want to go back to work. This is part of my identity and I want to crack on. So it's getting the balance just right between rest and that passion.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, you guys have been fantastic to speak to today. I was really worried about, like, I didn't want to kind of mansplain my way through this, because at the same time, I think that's something that guys just naturally fall into as well, without being misogynistic. It's kind of like, I didn't want to, like, you ladies, you know what I mean? So you guys have been brilliant to talk about this.
Thank you.
And it's been good. If you feel like you've been, say, affected by today, if you've resonated with today, or you have any comments, just drop us a message. If you have any questions for Alex, Alex will now tell you where you can find her on social media and stuff.
Yeah, so Instagram and Facebook, Alex McCarthy Coaching is where I'm hanging out mostly. And I've also got websites. So Alex McCarthy Coaching in whatever respect. But
Very Googleable. You are very Googleable.
Googleable, I like that word. But honestly, I'm very, what's the word? My inbox is always open and I'm always up for a chat. So please
I thought you cringe as you said that.
I know, I was like, how do I say that in a non-cringy way? And I didn't manage to say it in a non-cringy way.
I liked it.
My inbox is open for a chat. No, but honestly, if anything that we've spoken about or chatted about has landed for you, then I'd love to know why, and to meet you and talk to you. So don't be shy.
Camilla, how can people get in touch with you?
I'm Architecture Ventures on Instagram, and I have my website as well. Again, quite Googleable, which is my new favourite word.
I love that word.
And again, you know, I'm always happy to chat and inspire. And if anybody feels they want to chat to me, get in touch. I'd love to hear from you and see how can help.
If you're not following Architect Ventures on Instagram, it's amazing. It's a great way.
It's quite fun. Alex and I
You have a lot of fun. Yeah, you do. A big shout as well to Vitus over there in the background, and Daily Brews for letting us come and record here. I love coming and record here. I love the clinking of the glasses and the grinding of the coffee machines. It sounds really gnarly in here, but when you edit it down, it sounds beautiful. So thank you for letting us record here. Shrewsbury's great. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time. That was a fantastic episode. Editing back, it started off a little bit, a little bit nervous, because it's definitely a conversation that, as a bloke, I feel like you could definitely put your foot in your mouth with that. You got to sort of, I don't want to say tread carefully, but it's definitely a conversation that can go many different ways. But I feel like it was all positive, which is really good. I feel like Alex is a good friend. She's always my observations of Alex since I've met her is she's always there to help people and support people. So when Alex came to me and asked if we could do this podcast, absolutely jumped at the chance of doing this, because I wanted to support my friend, and I do think it's a really valid conversation to be having. And I feel like we did a good job there, and I like the eavesdroppy sort of feel to it as well. It was very nice. Right, a couple of things I need to talk to you guys about before we get out of here. Number one is Pod Aid. Pod Aid is back on the 11th of November. It is a 24-hour live charity podcast for Lingen Davis. So at 9 a.m. on the 11th of November, we go live in front of cameras, in front of microphones. It will be streaming on YouTube and on Facebook and wherever else we can get it. And we will not stop until 9 a.m. on the 12th. We've got 24-hour-long guests to bring you. We have a venue now, thanks to Shropshire, a fantastic place. I went to look at it yesterday as I'm recording this. If you want to get involved, we are still looking for guests. We're going to be working really hard to bring people in, putting my team together still, either side of the Atlantic, and also sponsors. We're looking for sponsors. If you want to sponsor an hour and have your business show up and be like, this hour is brought to you by insert name, then please get in touch. Our email is shrewsburybiscuitpodcast@gmail.com. We're looking for 24 sponsors for each hour of the show, trying to raise as much money as we can. I want it to be the biggest year we've ever done Pod Aid, absolutely. And the other thing I wanted to speak to you guys about is we've got a brand new website being built as we speak. our other website, the one we got up now, I broke last year. Broke it. I changed my podcast host, which is a website I send my audio to, and then from that website it goes to loads of different places via the RSS feed. The RSS feed is very important to my own website, and because I changed it, the website I use just kind of went, So the amazing guys at Web Orchard are working around the clock over the next couple of weeks to build our brand new website. We've got some great drone footage. We're going to get a brand new logo. There's going to be a whole new look to the Shrewsbury Biscuit, and there's going to be lots of great options as well and opportunities for businesses to get involved with it. So if you want to advertise on our website, I'm going to be writing blogs for the website too. There's going to be so many cool things happening with the biscuit over the next few weeks because of this website and these new opportunities. So I've got to say a huge thank you to Web Orchard for going out there and doing this, putting it all together. If you need a website for your business or your podcast or your blog or whatever it is that you do, the Web Orchard are fantastic at what they do. Honestly, they showed me some shots of what our website's going to look like, and I nearly cried. They've always been fantastic for us. They think outside the box, and they do offer a great product. So Web Orchard are the guys for you if you need a great website. Right, I've waffled an awful lot on this podcast. Thank you so much to Alex. Thank you so much to Camilla, to Daily Brews, and thank you to you, the listener. If this is the first time that you've listened to the Shrewsbury Biscuit, thank you so much for making us your choice today. And, by all means, give us a follow on our social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Threads, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter, or X, as it's now called, and we're on LinkedIn too. So thank you so much for your support, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.